So I thought this would be the perfect time to have this chat. I mean, we've been working together maybe 18 months or more. So it's been a long journey. So I thought, what better time to get a picture of where you were and compare it to where you are now and take a look at where we have to go. So
Absolutely.
just roll into where you were before working together, what you had tried, and we'll go from there.
So I've been running this business for a long time. And so 7 years. Okay. So first 3, 4, 5 years was just always a struggle to get new leads in the door. And I've spent so much money, so much time working with, other marketers that just use a generic approach, kind of one size fits all. And it was just always a stress. Like it was just stressful every month, like wondering, are we going to get enough leads in this week? Especially by the end of the month, if it was looking dry, like just, I don't want to ever go back to that. But anyway, right? So now fast forward and we're just like leads just show up on my calendar, right? I have discovery calls just already waiting and ready for me to hop on the phone with them and to move them forward if they're a fit. So that's the best thing that eases my concerns day to day is just seeing those leads just pop up on the schedule. I don't have to worry about them being there. I know at this point it is reliably uh, going to always be there ready for me to get in the phone with these leads. So anyway, we were struggling to, make 5K, 10K a month. I would always guess, like, are we going to be able to break even? So many months we were losing money. Not to mention all the stress that comes from that, obviously. So now, fast forward, we just did a 50K month, our best month we've had in 5 years. And that's on top of several months hitting 30K, 30K, 40K. So it's just such a relief. I mean, just knowing like it's a consistent, reliable system that we have now built, whereas before it was just kind of haphazard and just hoping and praying. And as I've learned, working with you, Connor, hope is not a strategy.
That's good, man. That's good. It's nice to hear feedback on like the work I've done and how it's impacted not just your life, not just the clients you work with, but your family and giving you that freedom, that consistency. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what comes next. So when you said that like agencies do a one size fits all, what did that look like for you? What have you tried essentially before we started working together? Obviously, I know this, but for anyone watching this later on, maybe they're in a similar situation and
The first thing is just how customized this approach is that you use versus all these other marketers is just very one size fits all, where I could tell they just use a generic marketing template, or even worse, just use AI that they don't put any kind of real effort in using their own brain to produce marketing that matches what we do. So whenever I get in the phone with people, when it did happen, right, sparingly, there'd be extra stress because I didn't really feel confident that this person knew what they were getting into, even getting on the phone with me for the first time, and what we offer and what kind of problems we help people solve. That's different from now with all the marketing assets that we have created. I have so much more confidence now. No, like I understand what people are expecting when I get in the phone with me. It's so much more clear the expectation between me and them that when I get in the phone with them, it's just they kind of know what's going on. They say, "Oh yeah, I read your website and I like this, I like that about it." And it's just easier for me to talk to them and be able to understand what's holding them back and what's driving them and what they're after so I can help move them forward. So, say that's the biggest thing. Also, the amount of communication that we have between us, it is night and day would be an absolute understatement. Right? To be able to communicate right with you whenever something comes up or I have an idea or there's a challenge and you're always very responsive. And that's extremely helpful for a business owner who's always has, like me, a million fires I'm always trying to put out and juggling 10 plates at once, including in my personal life. So as opposed to many other marketers I've worked with, I send them an email and it's like, I hope and pray I get a response within a week. And then I don't have to like nudge them again, say, hey, did you
mm,
see my question? All my revenue for my business kind of depends on you answering. But, I'm just kind of waiting and sitting there like, and so, yeah, just be able to kind of message you quickly, on Telegram back and forth. Um, It's so much more, I have so much more confidence and less anxiety.
Mm. That I wasn't expecting that, so that's nice to hear.
100%. Yep.
So like what was the final straw for you when you like decided, no, I gotta do something different. This isn't working. Because I know you've run your own marketing assets and you've tried to do it yourself because if you want a job done properly, do it yourself, right? But
Right.
sometimes you only have so many hours in the day. So what was the final straw on the camel's back?
Yeah, that's a great point. I tried to do this. I tried to have other people step in for me and do the marketing. I'm like, all right, this is just not working for all the reasons I've described before here. But I tried to do it myself. I'm like, yeah, I could probably do this, but it's going to take me way too much time and energy to pull this off. Meanwhile, pulling me away from serving my customers and my clients and managing my team. So to have you step in was just a no-brainer, seeing how different you were than everybody else. This was not the typical approach to marketing. I could tell from the beginning. So especially once we started getting results. So yeah, I mean, kind of rewinding again, I guess back to like, yeah, there was that moment where I was probably on my fourth or fifth marketer, just being like, is sitting in my office as I always do, and I'm just like thinking, what do I need to do differently here? And that decision was like, well, clearly the people I've chosen to work with haven't gotten me to where I need to be. So I need to choose a different type of person, not a different type of marketer. There's a different type of like a person with a different belief system, someone who thinks very differently. Otherwise, I'm going to keep getting the same results I've always got. So, and having conversations with you, I just knew. I could just tell talking with you, hearing, the way you were asking me questions, that it just was different. And so that was a light bulb moment for me, just knowing, okay, this is the route we need to go. Or it's at least worth giving it a shot to see if we can get some results. And I knew after, the first 1 or 2 months that this was going in the direction we needed it to go. I had that proof of concept that we'd be at the point we're at now, doing 50K a month. So
When you say like I stood out, I was different, and based on communication, what were some of those key points compared to what you've heard previously, or the agencies that you've dealt with?
well, one was just the fact that you were responding to me quickly, unlike other marketers. Second was the fact that you were asking questions about who we work with, how they feel, what problems they experience on a day-to-day basis, how do they want to feel, even just that, right? Which seems obvious at the start. If you're going to try to help a business to get more customers, you have to know what those customers want and what they're struggling with. That I think was the major game changer here, and actually getting results and helping us drive more revenue, get more clients consistently, more leads in the door. That I think has been the key piece. Seeing how much effort is put into the marketing assets to produce them. Again, not just like an AI template that's just the same and you make little tweaks. This is like fully custom work. So it's just like going to the dentist. If you were going to go to the dentist to get your mouth fixed, would you want just a one size fits all approach from the dentist to just go in there and do the same work he does with everybody else? Or would you want him to look in your mouth, say, you know what, you need this and this and this and this. We're gonna specifically change this about this procedure we would normally do and have you come back in a week and we'll do X and Y and Z just for you because you have this happening. And so it just felt way more individualized. And that's why we are getting results now. Whereas before, using one size fits all approaches, it just doesn't work. So,
I mean, every business is unique, right? So why would you? I That's the thing that pains me the most about seeing, speaking with business owners and seeing how they've interacted with other marketing agencies, because it gives us marketers a bad name. Like
yeah, right.
there's good guys out there. So
I'm sure. I mean, it must be tough for you as a marketer when you talk to new people that they're probably expecting that,
yeah,
right? So,
definitely.
like someone who's listening to this is probably expecting the same thing. Like, yeah, even after hearing all that, what makes you different? Like, will you really be able to do that for me? Like, what do you tell people who ask that question?
Well, this is the great thing about us speaking here is like I really appreciate what you're doing because it gives people a second opinion essentially. So, what was the moment for you where it all sort of clicked, where you felt like this is working, we're getting somewhere, and that stress was relieved?
Yeah, that was probably probably 3 to 4 months in when we finally had, we went from being losing money every month, being in the red to, pretty quickly breaking even and then seeing a couple months of being a little bit profitable. I saw that upward trend and just felt like, finally. Thank God, there's light now at the end of the tunnel. Whereas before it just felt like I was making my way around in this dark room with not seeing where I'm going and having no one guiding me. So, and then I could tell like, all right, well, not every month hasn't been perfect and peachy, right? There's some ups and downs, but the trend has been upward, right? It's just like people when I work with them with their health. The same way, we have little bumps in the road, but when we're moving upward over time, that's how you know you're moving in the right direction. The relief that comes with that is invaluable.
In terms of that consistent growth, I mean, it is an 18-month period that we've around about been working together. So the current revenue numbers for the year to date today's the 10th of August, 2026, is 247,000 US dollars. So that's a 71% increase on the previous period, another 144K on top of where we around about the time we started, about 6 months in. So, like you said, gradual, consistent increases.
That's right. And I see the difference in my bank account, seeing I have separate accounts for savings, which
Yeah.
for years have been dry, bone dry, nothing in there. They just had big fat zeros for 4 or 5 years now. And so finally I've been able to put money away into that account. And that
Mm,
account has a significant balance to show. So whereas before this we had no cushion, we were just
yeah.
living month to month. Now we have some reserves, which every business my hope is that every business has something in reserve so that when those hard times come, you have something to fall back on. I'm
Well, it's
personally, too.
not just business, but it's family as well, right? Being
I
able
was
to
just gonna
support your
say, yeah, right.
family.
Your personal expenses to know, like if you're running a business, you're supporting yourself and or your family. Like for me, my wife and 2 kids, it's crucial, it's critical to know that you'll be able to still put food on the table, even in those downswings. Yeah.
What are 5 keywords you'd use to describe how I work?
5 keywords, fully custom. Well, that's 2 words, but
Yeah,
highly personalized. I have to add that
yeah,
add
that's
in
fine.
there because it really is extremely custom work. Diligence, persistence. I know that it's never stops, right? It's you're thinking about this business as much as I do. Saying a lot. That's a major statement to help a business owner feel like you're on their side as much as they are. Because obviously, me as a business owner, I'm fighting for this as hard as anything because this is my support. This is my income, and to feel like coming from you at the same time, that's hard to find. Third
Repeat
is
that.
ownership. The
Yeah.
ownership of you seeing this as much yours as it is mine, because of course, right? What are we doing here if we're not actually getting leads and converting them and making sales and driving revenue and helping me to change people's lives? And we are crafty because this work is not like it's not generic one size fits all. It's how do we actually make this work when obstacles come up and they do. Obstacles come up. It's not this is not a straight line. It's not this easy, journey of, running a business. And there's a lot of upward trends, and it's been so much better than it's been. But there's still moments where little bumps in the road again. So that requires being able to be crafty, be resourceful with your thinking, and be able to overcome these challenges because they're not going to overcome themselves. And two heads are better than one here, rather than me just being left to it on my own devices. On a five, I would just say different. Just different. Just different than any of the approaches I've ever tried before. I kind of assumed that actually up until working with you that every marketer just took a basic one size fits all approach and that I just kind of had to eat it. Like I just had to accept that's how things were going to be. And I just had to hope and pray things would get better. But as we know, hope is not a strategy. And I was so relieved to find out I didn't have to rely on that, that I had another option, that there was something different. There was a different approach. So your approach is built different.
Awesome, man. That's good to hear. What's possible in your life now compared to back, around when you first started? What can you do now that you couldn't before? And maybe what does your average day to day look like?
Yeah, well, before I was doing all the work. I was doing everything, playing all the roles, wearing all the hats. Now I have a team of 3 or 4 people working with me, And that frees up my schedule a ton. So I could just focus on marketing and sales and figuring out, how do we drive this business forward and get to the next level? Which before, when you're in that driver's seat and you're doing everything else at the same time, there's no time for that. There's no energy and mental, emotional energy left over to do that more important work. So, but we got through that stage, and I'm being on the other side just feels so much more free. I mean, in my day to day, yeah, like I can wake up now and I work out in the mornings and I look to see what calls are on my schedule, what new leads have booked discovery calls that I'm ready to get on calls with, and plan my day kind of around that. I'm working at home, remote, just being able to help raise my two sons, 3-month old and a 3-year old, with my wife, and giving her more ease and more freedom to just feel like she doesn't have to work. So we finally crossed that threshold recently where she's still working a few hours here and there, but it's more like she wants to. She doesn't feel like she has to. And so for me as a husband, that's all I really ever wanted was starting to be able to be that provider and give my wife that freedom to just, spend more time with the kids now and me too, so that we can together as a couple, as mom and dad and husband and wife even have the freedom to travel like we are now. We're in Atlantic City, New Jersey, traveling from Florida, visiting my family here, and it's been great just for everybody, for the whole family to have this freedom. But I love it.
So what's next? What's on the horizon for Adam and Live Wellness?
That's right. Well, what's next is doubling our business from where we are now. We're sitting right at 50K. The next stage is 100K, which is the equivalent of bringing on 15 new clients a month into my holistic healthcare business, up to 30 new clients a month. And then from there, who knows? Sky's the limit, really, with an approach like this where we're dialing in to what people need because I mean it helps me just have that satisfaction as well of like knowing as we level this business up, I know we're connecting with more people the right way and helping them to take control over their health whereas they prior, right, had felt like they had no control. Just like me and my business going from feeling out of control to regaining it once and for all, and just be able to change the world the way that I see fit, right? To kind of match that vision I have. So that just wouldn't be possible otherwise. I mean, I'm very, frankly speaking, just plainly put, I'm so glad I chose to work with you because otherwise I would still be stuck hoping and praying that leads would show up and doing my best with marketing that was just not quite up to par with what people need to see, hear, and feel and experience. To help us help them change their lives. So that's what I'm looking forward to as well, is just making that impact that I know we can and people they need it. But you, as a business, you need that bridge between what you see in your mind and what people are experiencing out there in reality to get them to recognize you for the expert you are. And so that's what we're doing. Let's keep doing it.
That's a really great point. Like a lot of people don't realize you can be really good at your job, but not have any business or customers because you don't position yourself in the right way. So it's people come to you with a problem. Here's how we solve it. Here's why we're the best choice for you.
Exactly. And I that was such a hard lesson to swallow getting into business, as I'm sure any entrepreneur comes to learn that hard lesson. And it's so frustrating. It's seeing other people, other businesses that are, kind of killing it, and you're just sitting there like, what's the difference? Like here I am, like I'm so good at what we do. Like I have people tell me that all the time that I work with. More people just don't know about it. And so it's just getting the word out there in the right way and positioning you as the expert.
So
That's
we've
a big
got we've
gap.
we've got a seven-figure business in our sights. We've got a plan to get there. It's only a matter of time. I mean, if you could put a number on the work we've done, already in terms of the value it's created, not just in your bank account, but through saving time and less stress and more freedom, what does that look like for you?
It's invaluable. I mean, there's no there's no monetary figure to place on it because what's my alternative is to be stuck where I was, still just going in circles with my feet in the mud and feeling like I just had to accept it. And so the alternative to that of being able to get unstuck and moving forward and growing the business. I mean, I can't put a number on it. I don't know. Sure, call it a million, call it 5 million, 10 million. I mean, it's worth, a five-figure investment, a six-figure investment every month if we're getting the return on it, and we are. So yeah, I can't put a price on it. I know it's a cliche, but it's just true. I don't know how else to say it.
That's banger. So good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say to someone that's sitting on the fence about, maybe they're running the marketing themselves for their business or they've tried someone else and it's not gone so well? What would you tell them? Because I know that you've referred people to me as well who have had a similar experience and you've shared everything that's been going on. And, we've worked together with them as well and they've got good results. So what would you say to someone?
That's right. I mean, I would tell that person that be proud of yourself for trying because it's tough. I get it. I tried it myself and it is not easy as you can see. And so if you could find someone who could help you, who had a better approach, who was an expert in doing this and in a way that was personalized to you, why wouldn't you offload it? Right? Especially when the ROI is there and you feel that you're getting that return back on your time and your money and your energy that you were putting into this, right? To be able to remove yourself from that process, right? Hand it off to a partner in your business, almost like more like a partner than just a marketer, right? That's not what this is. So if you could give the reins over to someone who could just figure it out, right? And just this is what they do, and let you take care of everything else that's important. Wouldn't you do it? What would hold you back? I don't know what else there is for me. There was nothing else holding me back other than that. Just the willingness to let go of those reins and understand that was what was required to get me to where I wanted to go.
Who would you say this is for and who it's not for?
It's a good question.
Maybe start with the not for because that's
Exactly.
pretty
I was
clear.
gonna do that first and then like transition over, but I'm like, that's a harder question to answer, actually. I'm like, yeah, I would say this is not for you if you expect it to just be served up to you on a silver platter. Okay. Now, Connor does definitely put the work in. Like you definitely do put the work in to hold up your end of the responsibility here, but there needs to be co-laboring. We need to be working together. Because if I'm not putting the work in and communicating with you and helping give you feedback about what's going on so we can improve it, we're never going to be able to get those results because we'll never overcome the challenges that come up and we'll just stay stuck. So it's all hands on deck. It's got to be all hands on deck. Otherwise, it's probably just not going to work. So, on the other hand, if you are that kind of person who knows that this business is the most important thing in your life right now, and it's up there, right? And maybe it's feeding you, it's feeding your family, it's there, you're making an impact on the world, whatever your driving force is, keeping that why in your mind and staying committed and staying in communication with you, Connor, to get that back and forth feedback between you two. So it becomes more like playing ping pong, right? Just hitting it back and forth so that it becomes an upward spiral rather than something that works for a little bit and then becomes stale and stalls out, right? So that stalling out is prevented just by continuing to stay engaged, continuing to communicate and reminding yourself of why you're doing this every day. Right? And then you start getting those results, the upward spiral begins, and off you go to the moon.
I know for you, you've got a direct connection between the money you spend in marketing and the leads that you get. But a lot of business owners just rely on fate for leads to show up, or, they just rely on referrals and people finding them on Google by chance.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to run my business that way personally. It just would be too much uncertainty, too much stress day to day. Instead, creating a repeatable, predictable system where leads are going to show up. It's not a question. Like, are leads gonna are we gonna have anybody walk in the door today? Are we gonna have anybody picking up the phone to call us and schedule with us? You just know it's gonna happen, right? That's where creating a system is crucial. I just couldn't imagine any other way. I mean, there are some businesses out there that do create a lot of traction running by word of mouth, and some businesses are able to run solely off of that. Most of the time, that's not the case. That wasn't for us, at least, not at the start. So having the system now, it's just night and day. Now we know what's going to happen with certainty rather than just hoping and praying.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share?
Let me try to sum it up in one brief
A
story
good,
is to
a
say,
good way to do that is like
uh,
starting point, height of drama, midpoint, the process, end point, where you are now, where you want to go. Story time with Dr. Adam.
story time, gather around. So 4 or 5 years ago, we were just stuck in this what felt like quicksand. Like I just couldn't move this business forward, no matter how much I was thinking about it around the clock during my sleep, keep me up in the middle of the night, thinking about all the stressful things and putting fires out that every business owner has to deal with, and hardly being profitable. Doing 10K a month, which for our business, was almost losing money. And so just barely breaking even. Life is stressful. My relationship with my wife, we just had so much tension between us. I can handle the stress of the income kind of, up and down, the unpredictability of it when you're getting started with, running your business. She's more sensitive to that, which I understand. And so it would just cause a lot of conflict between us. It wasn't good for either of us. And I didn't want that for our household with our kids. And so let's fast forward then through the next, upward swing. When we started working together, leads started coming in the door slowly but surely. I want to emphasize slowly but surely that this upward swing started. And then, even farther down the road, we start making some money, start breaking even comfortably, then being slightly profitable every month, where I know, okay, this is now predictable, and I can relax. I was probably being less tense also at home, which was a positive impact for my wife and my family. I'm sure just being more pleasant to be around. And then knowing the business is doing, then double or triple that revenue what we were doing at the start, that's when finally things calmed down between me and my wife, and she knew it, and she just had this different sense of ease and calm, and just around the house there was less tension between us. You could just feel it. You could just feel it. And it felt good. That freedom of, in the relationship of knowing that everything's good, like we got the bills covered. And now what do we want to do that we couldn't do before? And be able to go out on a couple date nights every week and not stress about what we're spending at the restaurant. And what trips do we want to go on? And visit. Here we are, running this virtual business, which we can do from anywhere. Because we're able to drive leads from all over, all over. It doesn't really matter where they are. We can go to New Jersey like we are now in Atlantic City, just hanging out at the beach with my family, and it's just life just feels more free and more in control, right? Life now feels more in control working with you than it did before, which just felt out of control is the simplest way to put it. That sense of like certainty is invaluable now for me, for my family, and for my clients too. I'm sure it's a win-win-win for everybody because as we feel this, increased sense of energy that comes from all this, it spills over to everybody in my life and my business and on my team. Now that we have a team, I've gone from just a team of one or two to three or four, five almost now. So if we include you, which we do, that's a short story. Long story short, we've probably spent over the last 4 or 5 years running this business. I'm not kidding. It's not a joke. Over $300,000 to $400,000. $300,000 to $400,000 when it comes to hiring marketing agencies, coaching agencies, plus all the ad spend that was spent with minimal to no return. I can't even imagine continuing to go on that way and digging deeper and deeper into a hole. Yeah. For
That
like
that's the really
nothing.
amazing part about my job is like we've taken you from a really tough situation where you were doing the best you could. And now it's like you say, night and day. It's completely different. It's consistent, systemized. You got confidence and freedom. And I
100%.
really
And
look forward to what comes next and what we do next because we are looking to make a big change in terms of healthcare in America. And we've got a lot of ideas to not just help the clients you help now, but to scale it and look at helping other healthcare providers and agencies and do what marketers are failing to do in this industry in America and throughout the world.
amen to that. Because the doctors need it, the business owners need it, the employees that work for those businesses need it, the patients who are struggling need it. So yeah, we're gonna double, triple this, quadruple it, send it to the moon, and then it's only gonna expand from there, impact outward with all these other healthcare practitioners that are trying their hardest. And I know a ton of them. and they're all in the same boat. So many of them. And if that's you listening to this, just don't live that way. Don't don't settle for it. You don't have to settle for it. Okay, feeling so uncertain. And if you're like me, I was like, I had a lot of frustration and frankly anger about it. Just I don't want that to be you. That doesn't have to be you. Okay. There's a way, there's a systematic way to produce leads for your business where you don't have to worry about it. So take that opportunity, please, for your own sake, for your family's sake.
Banger, bro. This has been an amazing discussion and a long journey, been hard earned. So there's no one more deserving than you.
Appreciate it, man. We're working on this together, partners in success here. So it's been great. I look forward to keep working here. Let's do it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Hell yeah,
That's
man. It
been
was fun.
awesome to take a trip down memory lane and
That's right, man. Yeah, just reflecting on it all. And like we talk this way, anyway. And I always like when I talk with you, I have these like this like vibe comes up, this energy, right? When I connect with you, right? There's just this different state of mind. Something to like package that into like a message for other people. It's fun. It's fun to do. Like I look forward to doing this on
it's kind of
stage.
cool. Like a little podcast episode is
Yeah, a
like,
podcast type thing. Totally,
yeah.
dude. Go back and forth. When I film testimonials, I've evolved to like talking more myself, like you were doing, and you'll probably you should if I think you should keep some of your clips in there too, where you say stuff, right, of how you frame it to help the viewer understand a little bit
Yeah.
of the expert's perspective. And then sometimes, like where I maybe I come back to you and I ask you a question, which I did once, but to hear you expound on something, the the viewer, right? I'm basically the viewer being interviewed. Like that's why I find interesting with the Hormozy podcast, right? If someone's on a podcast with him and then he asks them a question back, I'm like, ooh, that's interesting.
Mm.
So it's like it becomes a back and forth, and I think that's fascinating, especially if we do it in person and we're on stage. We can like take questions from the crowd too, and like make it this super dynamic, organic, conversational thing.
Well, that's the thing I see, like in terms of, I don't know, doing 200K a month and you've got a team there and you don't have to handle the sales anymore. It's like, cool. There's probably a million other businesses that want that kind of coaching for
Yeah,
healthcare specifically.
totally. And I know them. I told you I know them personally. So
To like
there's
jump on stage, do a retreat somewhere overseas. I'll be down to
yeah,
run
man.
that.
Oh, dude, totally.
And bro, that's when you start looking at seven-figure months.
I can't. It's gonna be nice. I can't wait for that, dude. And film this again in 6 months, a year from now, whole different
We made
story.
$1 million.
That's right.